Get that fucking trash out of your life. You have legacies to build. We grew that business from 3.4 million to 17.1. Horsepower, not horse shit. You want to be the parent that's an ally. They don't need another fucking friend. Not everybody's cup of whiskey. Toughest advice for the toughest businessmen. Be relentless. Yesterday I shared a personal story of how my queen, my best friend's secret weapon wife, Krista, literally saved my father's life 4 years ago. She literally stepped in and saved my father's life. 4 years ago, my dad was just recently retired at the age of 85. He was enjoying retirement after 65 consecutive years as an entrepreneur. Think about that, 65 years as an entrepreneur. He had been working longer than that. He'd been working since he was 15 when he quit high school, but 65 years as a businessman. And he finally retired at age 85 from the insurance business. And he was enjoying living at home independently with my mom in the home that we were raised in. They're 100% self-independent and living a life of personal sovereignty. But my dad, as I said in the last video, wasn't feeling well, and he had misprescribed medication that almost cost him his life. He was prescribed by his family doctor a medicine to lower his blood pressure when I never even knew my dad had high blood pressure. If you knew my dad, you would laugh at that one. He's the most chill guy you could ever imagine. And he was put on this drug to lower his blood pressure. And when Krista stepped in on the boat and saved his life, he had a resting pulse rate of 15 beats a minute. 15 beats a minute. He was rushed to the hospital by air ambulance. He was taken off this medication. And a few days later, we got our father back. He was at death's doorstep thanks to a misdiagnosis, thanks to a prescription by a family doctor, a local doctor, almost cost him his life. So my message yesterday was self-awareness, self-responsibility, not just taking the advice of doctors or experts or bureaucrats, or do your own homework. Do your own homework on vaccines, do your own homework on prescription drugs, do your own homework on ADD and ADHD, do your own homework on mental health, do your own homework on the powers of movement and physical exercise when it comes to depression, anxiety, suicide, worry, stress. Do the work. Don't trust anybody. Take 100% responsibility for your own self-care. And forget about Medicare, forget about health care through the government. Okay, you'll die on a gurney in the hallway. Instead, focus on health care. Focus on walking, on eating the right foods, on limiting your screen time, getting out in nature every day, getting out in the cold, the heat, the sun, the rain, the snow. Get around positive people. Get away from the toxic people in your world, toxic habits, toxic rituals. Get around, read positive books, pray, journal, exercise, do all these things to take 100% responsibility for your own self-care. Forget healthcare and think self-care. What can I do every day to extend my life, to become healthier, to become younger, to become more vibrant, to become more alive? What can I do every day to feel great, to feel younger, to look younger? What can you do to extend this God-given tour of duty? You got a great thing going, why shorten it? Why shorten it with booze and tobacco and alcohol and gambling and all these other toxic and bad people? Get it out of your life. Get those people away from you and start extending your tour of duty. So it's interesting, that story led to something that has changed my life, and I call it my gratitude walk. And I'll be doing my gratitude walk tomorrow. And this is an idea I've never shared with anybody else, but when my dad was in the hospital for those 4 or 5 days, when we almost lost him, I would go down and visit him every day in the city. So it was about an hour drive. And I would get in the hospital and I would sit with my dad and we'd talk about business and family, and we'd talk about sports, we'd talk about life. And then he would need a break after about 20 minutes. He was still fatigued, he still wasn't himself. He was still detoxing from the misdiagnosed medication. And I would go downstairs, I'd have my walking shoes on, and I would literally go for a 2, 3, even 4 mile walk. It's like I walk 15,000 steps a day, which takes me 70, 75 minutes. But I'm talking about a 4 mile walk. I can't stand hospitals. I hate being in institutions. I hate being in retirement homes. I hate the feeling of lack of autonomy, the lack of personal sovereignty, the illness. I hate the energy. I hate all of it. And you should hate those places as much as we need them. It's like, man, I don't want to be there, but we have to be there sometimes. So just being in the hospital every day visiting my dad, I would be in there talking to him, and then I would just feel that I had to decompress, or I had to get some sunshine or fresh air. And I'd go downstairs, I'd take the elevator downstairs in the hospital, and I would just start walking. And I would walk through all the nice neighborhoods around the city. I'd walk down by the parks. I walked down by the canal. It was in the spring, so the weather was nice. And I just walked and walked and walked. But I didn't have my phone. I wasn't shooting videos or any of that stuff. And I can't remember who it was, but they told me about a gratitude walk that they did and how it changed their life by doing it once a week or once every 2 weeks, where you do nothing but walk and count your blessings. That's it. It doesn't matter if it's half an hour, 90 minutes. So because of the headspace I was in, I was upset about my dad's misdiagnosis. I was scared that my dad was not going to make it home. I was stressed because I was in the hospital in that environment. And instead of turning to, social media or dopamine, or sitting there scrolling through ESPN or TSN or the political news, even any of that, that's not what I felt I needed. I just got outside in nature. I took the elevator down. I got out in the fresh air. I got out in the sunshine. I got out in the cool breeze, and I just went for a walk. And I'll never forget it. I literally walked for almost 2 hours. My dad was having a sleep, I didn't want to disturb him. And I just walked around the city without any technology, in solitude and silence. And it did give me a chance to think. It gave me a chance to reflect and all those things that my daily walk. But then I tested and tried the gratitude, where I just started counting my blessings as I walked. And it was the first time I ever did it. And it was the perfect scenario because I was feeling negative. I was feeling stressed. I was feeling worry because of my dad's situation. So I did the opposite of what most other people would do. First of all, I just started walking. And then after about 10 minutes, I'm feeling much better. The runner's high is starting to kick in. I've got no technology. I'm out in the sun. I'm out in the fresh air. And I just started counting my little blessings. Nothing too tiny, nothing too small, nothing too insignificant. I would thank, I thank my Creator for the wonderful time of year, the springtime. I showed gratitude for the smell of the fresh air in the parks. I thank them for the nurses and the doctors at the Heart Institute where my dad was being helped. I thanked God for my legs and my hands to write, my feet to walk, my ears to hear. And I had never done any of this, right? Like when I do my gratitude every morning in my journal and every night before I go to bed, I write down like 10 things I'm grateful for. But a lot of that stuff is freedom, independence, books, water, you know, mentors, America, Canada, that kind of stuff. But I'd never ever done the tiny blessings in my life that I did on this gratitude walk. I was grateful for the streets and the sidewalks. I was grateful for the people that were building homes in the developments and you know, helping our economy. I was grateful for the ability to have a vehicle there just to be able to drive back and forth the hour. I was grateful for my morning newspaper, grateful for the books that I read, grateful for a cup of coffee downstairs in the hospital. Grateful that my wife Krista had been aware enough, intelligent enough to step in and save my dad, even though he had this misdiagnosis. I count it my blessings for being in Canada. I count it my blessings for being free, for being independent, you know, for having autonomy and wealth and health. And I just went through a tiny list. I thanked my Creator for the incredible trees, the green grass, the manicured lawns that I was walking through. I thanked Him for you know, water, rivers, lakes, and ponds. We have the blessing of living on a 4-mile view up the lake in Canada in the summer, spring, and fall. And I started thanking Him for the people in my life, but the smaller details, like the birds, the sunshine, the rain, you know, the heat, the cold. I thanked my Creator for the seasons, spring, winter, fall, summer. You know, I'd walk by and there'd be ducks and loons, and just thanking for the sounds of commerce and the economy. And I just went on and on with this gratitude list. Things that I never normally, you know, a pen and paper that I use every day. I'm thankful I have a journal to write in. I'm thankful that my dad and I have an amazing relationship. I'm grateful that I'm married to this wonderful woman. I'm grateful that I'm a father, that I've been blessed with being a father, the responsibility of being a father. And I just walked for 2 hours. And when I came back to the hospital, I was able to give my dad something I would have never been able to give without walking and taking time for self-care. I went in there with giver energy, with high energy, with positive energy, with impact energy. And my dad, who's in a hospital bed, needs that. When you go to see somebody in the hospital, you know, the worst thing you can do is have sympathy energy, right? Oh, poor you. That's not what they need. That's not what heals people. That's not what motivates people. You can have compassion and empathy, but you need to have high energy. You need to be a giver of energy, a giver of positive energy. And that's what I was able to gift my dad with after these 2-hour walks, these 90-minute walks, is because I had fixed myself, fixed my mentality. I left all that toxicity outside. It was gone. I released it on my gratitude walk. By showing gratitude for all the tiny details in my life, all the tiny blessings, I got rid of that toxicity. I walked out that hospital with a black cloud over my head. And when I walked back in, it was just gratitude, positive energy, and sunshine. Like I took control and responsibility for my own self-care. And it doesn't have to be a 2-hour walk. It doesn't have to be an hour walk, but just walking for half an hour and just counting your tiny blessings And to this day, I call it my gratitude walk, and I do it one time per week. I usually do it on a long Saturday or a long Sunday walk. I don't do it when my wife is with me, but I do it once. I don't shoot a video. I don't carry my camera. I just put on my shoes, I hydrate, and I go. And I literally go anywhere from 90 minutes to 2 hours, and sometimes more. So 2, 3, 4 miles. And after I walk for about 10 minutes and I get loose and I've got my breathing going and I've got the runner's high, I just start counting my blessings. Every single little thing in my life. You know, the access to good foods, the taste of a cup of coffee in the morning, that sunrise, look at that behind me. That sunrise, the sunset, you know, abundance, wealth, opportunity, but the details. I'm thankful for the ability to walk. I'm thankful for the ability to speak. I'm thankful for the ability to write. I'm thankful for all the things that I would normally be taking for granted. And you do automatically, you're human. So that's what was a game changer that I learned out of my dad's illness, is that gratitude walk. And I do it once per week. If I can recommend you one thing to deal with stress and worry, deal with depression, anxiety, any of that manufactured mental illness, any of that toxic that's in your life or in your children's life or your queen's life, is I highly recommend at least once a week a 30-minute, 60-minute, 90-minute, 2-hour gratitude walk. You don't need any money. You don't need any special gear. You don't have to set a time. Just go and walk. Walk outside in nature. Leave that fucking phone at home. Leave that phone at home and just start walking. Walk for 10 minutes and then start just asking yourself the question, what am I thankful for? What am I grateful for? And literally you will list 25 things, then 50 things. And by the time you're done your half hour or your hour or your 2 hours, you won't want to stop. You will be in a state of euphoria and gratefulness that you've never experienced in your life. I'm not kidding. There's no drug, there's no drink, there's no post, there's nothing, there's no hit of dopamine that can give you what a gratitude walk will give you. I was so high, it was like I was on heroin or I was on some massive drug. I've never done drugs, so I don't know what it's like, but that's what it would have been like. I walked into that hospital like I was 10 feet tall and bulletproof. My body language, my breathing, my attitude, my mental state, I just walked up there and I gave that energy to my dad who was in his bed. And we talked more about life. We talked about my walk. I talked about what I'm thankful for. I talked to my dad about things I usually wouldn't be comfortable talking about. I told him how much I love him, how much I respect him, how thankful I am for him and my mom. And that all came from that gratitude walk. Because when I walked out that door, I was toxic. I was feeling sorry for myself. I was angry. I was sad. I was frustrated. And I was giving off negative energy. And I switched it with a gratitude walk outside in nature. And if you're gonna carry your phone, forget it. If you're gonna listen to music, forget it. If you're gonna mail it in or phone it in, just forget it. Don't bother. You know, and most people watching this video will never do it. They don't have what it takes to put their shoes on and even walk. But if you have what it takes to put on your shoes once a week and go for a half hour, an hour, 2 hour walk, there shouldn't be a finish line, just walk. Walk out an hour from your house and come back an hour and get around nature, get around ponds, get around parks. The more rural, the more nature, the better. And just get around it and just keep asking yourself that question. What am I grateful for? What am I thankful for? And just list them in your mind. And when you get back, you're gonna be 25x the father, husband, entrepreneur, friend. And man, it went on, that affected me for days. I was a new man for days. So that was how I start my week, with that gratitude walk on a Saturday or Sunday. It just catapults me into the next week. So this is the last day that the doors are open for my World Builders Mastermind. I open up the doors for a few days. Immigration is open. Unlike creepy Joe Biden, I have an immigration policy. I have a walled garden. I have an immigration policy, and I do not let everybody in my world. So I'll be slamming the doors shut in 24 hours, and you will be left out for another month. But right now, the doors are open, badassworldbuilders.com. Go there and get more information, badassworldbuilders.com. And if you like what you see, great. If you don't like what you see, great. I don't care if you join, makes no difference in my life at all. I'll still live in Naples, I'll still live in Canada, I'll still be the same man, the same husband, the same father. So it's not just about, you know, selling something. If it's not for you, it's not for you. Badassworldbuilders.com. You can apply. It takes 5 minutes. I'll look at your application over 3 days, and I will personally respond to you if you're a good fit. 2 out of 3 men are not a good fit. It's nothing personal. Videos and newsletters are best for them. But to be in the masterminds, you have to be a top 5%er. You have to have that ambition to get to be a top 1%er. It's critical, the best of the best. You don't have to be the best of the best, but you have to have that ambition, that hunger to be the best of the best. So if you're a small business owner who's at 5 figures looking to get to 6 and then looking to get to 7, this is exactly for you. But you can't do it unless you get around other elite, generous and driven men. You just can't. I couldn't do it with books and newsletters. My life and business transformed when I joined Bill Glazier's $30,000 mastermind over a decade ago. It just changed my life. I was rubbing shoulders with Russell Brunson and Michael Cage and Bill Glazier and Dan Kennedy and Beth Davis. I couldn't help but win. I was around winners, and what do winners do? They win. My masterminds are just stock full winners. So if you're in the World Builders Mastermind, you're around guys that have already done what you're looking to do. So winning is automatic. If you put in the work, it's automatic. But when I got around other winners, everything changed. There's only so much a book can do, or a newsletter can do, or a video can do. What the mastermind did for me is what it did, like Napoleon Hill said in Think and Grow Rich. It's what it did for Rockefeller, what it did for Andrew Carnegie, what it did for Henry Ford, is it just held them accountable. And it just elevated their life and their business like no other, because, you know, iron sharpens iron. Iron sharpens iron. Badassworldbuilders.com. And in today's society, 2023, you got to get around other elite men. You just got to get around other elite men. We are the average, you are the average, I am the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. So when I started spending time with top 1%ers, like Brunson, like Kennedy, like Glazier, like Cage, like Davis, that's when everything changed for Yours Relentless. It's immersion. You got to get around other elite husbands, fathers, grandfathers, and entrepreneurs. And then when you're around winners, winning happens. Winners aren't losers, and losers aren't winners. And you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So I can tell by your bank account, I can tell by your marketing whether you're in a mastermind or not. And if it's not my mastermind, I don't care. Just get in a mastermind. You can get in somebody else. Everybody has a mastermind, so you can get in somebody else's mastermind. That's great. Long as you're in a mastermind. If you're a cheapskate, then start your own mastermind. You won't have skin in the game, and free is the new expensive, but at least you're in a little bit of a mastermind. You're in a sissy mastermind. So if you want to step up to the big leagues and get around other elite men, badasses, kings, champions, then apply at badassworldbuilders.com. I now offer monthly for the first time $997 to be in the badass brotherhood. Are you kidding me? To get it as part of this tribe, $997 a month, that's it. That's probably 1 or 2 products that you sell a month to get around guys that have already done it and are still doing it. Plus you have a full year, 12-month guarantee. If at the end of the year or during the year you say, Leanne, this isn't what I wanted, she'll refund your money right on the spot, every penny. You don't even have to talk to me. You don't have to give me an excuse. You don't have to tell me that your dog ate your breakfast. You don't have to do any of that. You just have to say, it wasn't for me. It wasn't a good fit. I need my money back. No foul, no harm, and certainly no bad feelings. I probably won't even know about it. I won't even know about it. I just wonder where you went. So for me, that's the big thing in today's world now, is to get around other elite men, because we're the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. Iron sharpens iron. So badassworldbuilders.com. That's it for today. Gratitude walk, gratitude walk. Get out there, just head out the door. Just tell yourself you're gonna do 10 minutes, then do 20 minutes, then do 30 minutes. Keep walking, keep breathing, keep thinking. And then once you get going, once the motor's running, say to yourself, okay, what am I grateful for? What am I thankful for? And just tiny little details, fresh air, grass, sunshine, the sunset, whatever it is, a pen to write with, the internet to have 8 billion unlimited customers, all this kind of stuff. And just a car to drive, clean water to drink, clothes to wear, a roof over your head, a queen who loves and supports you, and just go down the list. And when you get home, you will be transformed. You will be 10 feet tall and bulletproof. 2 words that changed my life, 2 words that can change your life. Be relentless.